If you're a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, how much resistance should you give your training partners, particularly if you're drilling with a blue belt or a purple belt and you want to make sure that they're not just wasting their time? How much resistance should you actually give them? This question comes from a very good place. It comes from not wanting to be a complete limp noodle and essentially waste the time of someone who's been doing this for years and who has lots of experience. Oftentimes when you're drilling with someone who's advanced, it might even seem like they're on a completely different level than you, like they understand multiple layers of the technique, and probably they do understand multiple layers of the technique, but you want to find the middle ground. You don't want to be a limp noodle, and you don't necessarily want to be stiff as a board. It's a little bit better if you're drilling with, let's say, a purple belt to be stiffer than it is to be a limp noodle, because jiu-jitsu moves are designed to work on people who are fully resisting. So if you're a limp noodle, the move can't be drilled as effectively as if you're kind of a stiff mannequin that can be adjusted and moved as needed. But that is not the ideal. That is not what we're shooting for. Ideally, what you want to be doing is replicating everything that would be happening in a live roll under controlled circumstances. So if you're doing a sweep, for example, and it relies on getting their momentum going forward and then backwards because they took some bait, or this is the natural progression of where they would be trying to advance position, you take advantage of it. That's a lot to say. It's kind of a lot to do, but that's the Goldilocks zone for drilling moves. That's really where you want to get. So you don't want to resist too much, you don't want to resist too little. And how do you exactly get to the point where you're able to find that Goldilocks zone? And the answer is, the more times you are in a particular position, the more times you drill it, the more familiar you're going to be overall. And obviously this is how you go from a white belt to an advanced to a black belt, right? You just keep practicing. But in the actual moment of drilling, you want to kind of put yourself in the mindset of what you would be doing if you were sparring, and then take some sauce off of it. Because the point of drilling is to have one person win the sequence. The person who is the tori, not the uke, the tori, the one doing the technique, you are the person who's supposed to win. The uke, the person having the technique done to them, is supposed to lose. Really, the goal of drilling is to learn as much as possible in the shortest time possible. And if you really get into it, the lines are kind of blurred between who is winning and who's losing. You maybe want to start with a very small amount of resistance and then slowly scale the resistance up. Because ideally, you want to be able to do these moves under 100% resistance. But in order to get to 100% resistance, you start maybe even as that flexible mannequin, where you're just being moved and put into place. But over time, you should move around a little bit. You should imagine you're rolling and put a little bit into it, but always with the goal of having the tori end up in the position where you're supposed to. So if you're sweeping, the tori always gets the sweep and always goes to mount, no matter how much resistance you're putting on. So hopefully you can find that Goldilocks zone, because really that's where good drilling happens. And if you like the video, do the YouTube stuff down below to support it.